Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Mr. Lober here to talk to you about completing week 2 in civics. Um, if you are viewing this video, you've likely already read this up here and you're down here looking at the supplemental materials. But just in case you've skimmed over it, I do want to point out some things to you. Essentially what this says is if week 1 was all about getting you comfortable with using technology, week 2 is about getting you comfortable with using that technology to do some serious academic work, to actually use technology for things other than looking at funny videos and that sort of things. So just like week 1, you'll have a number of tests. This week 5 tasks to complete. Um, and here are some things to keep in mind. So every week, after my little introductory blurb, you'll have your I can statements. With those I can statements come along some essential questions that help you figure out whether or not you can accomplish that I can statement. So this week we have 3 I can statements here, and you have good eyes. I don't have to read those to you. You also have between 2 or 3 essential questions where if you can answer those questions, you know you've been able to accomplish that I can statement. And that is helpful in completing assignments later on in the course, completing checkpoints, completing capstones, and eventually the final exam that you need for credit to leave the course. So there's some little background information. Let's talk about task 1 for this week. Generally, task 1 every week is going to have to do with some research and tagging. So you are viewing and responding to this instructional video using EduCanon. You're going to use the strategies I show you in this video to bookmark, tag at least 10 sites can be helpful in answering this week's essential questions. And as you read each site, complete some notes that help you phrase answers to each essential question, as well as noting the source you got information from. This will help you immensely in task 2. So again, task 1 helps you get ready for task 2. Let's do some things to get set up for that. So the first thing I would do is, because I know I have some essential questions I need to answer and some I cans with them, what I would do if I were you is in my notebook I would write out the questions, or at least number them, just so I can structure my own notes. Because I can't show you a notebook while I'm working here, I'm just going to copy and paste these into a document here so you can kind of see my notes as I work along here. So if I go back to the assignment, I need to show you a few strategies and a few ways you can use Delicious to search things out. Now, one thing I've noticed, the biggest temptation that students have is to copy the question or type the question word for word into Google and see what happens. All right. Now, if you do that, I do not recommend that, because what you're going to end up getting is the grade level content expectations for Michigan. You're going to get some other things that really don't help you out. What I would do is to search keywords individually for each question, and break out the important nouns and things like that. So in this environment of civics, what do we need by power, legitimacy, authority, and sovereignty? What I might do is break that down, and first thing I might Google is power definition. Alright. Now you know that we are not a physics class, so if you were to supply a device with mechanical or electrical energy, or move or travel with great speed or force, that's probably not the right thing. But the ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially as a faculty or quality, I could definitely write that down as an answer that helps me with this first essential question. You can complete that or use that same sort of format to work with legitimacy, authority, and sovereignty as well. You might want to look at how these ideas relate to government. For some of you, if you are able to find the definitions of those 4 words, you might be able to kind of get that on your own. But if I might want to search for sovereignty and government as a search term here, you'll get a few different things that you can use. Now, many teachers will tell you that Wikipedia is not an okay source. I will give you the OK on Wikipedia, you may use that as a source, and here is why. It is true that just like your wikis, almost anyone can edit them, as I'm about to show you here. But there are some hurdles. You need to log in, and Wikipedia is often kept up by experts, but they have employees whose entire job is to make sure that people don't mess things up. And of course, experts are looking at these to make sure that they're right when people do research. So Wikipedia does tend to be a pretty reliable source. Now, that same doesn't go for Yahoo Answers or Ask or anything like that. Don't use those, but if you want to use Wikipedia as a starting point, I'm absolutely okay with that. Okay, so you have a definition of sovereignty here where you can talk about it as looking at authority over polity or some kind of people. You might need to define some words. But in any case, searching out the terms are a great strategy. In the second I can statement, when you look at that, what I'm looking at you is for different forms of government. You might want to, in particular, as a hint, look for things like communism, dictatorships, monarchies, and things of the sort. Essentially, you're looking for different ways that people can be governed, and that will help you out. If you are looking for search terms, for example, I might, in my Google, say types of government. All right. Wikipedia might be a little bit broad here, but it might be reliable to use. But you can also choose different sorts of sources as well. For example, you might use the World Factbook. You might use lists of forms of government. You might use college websites. So again, this website here would be a great answer. So there's just a few words about searching and what you can do to get things done. All right. So as you go along, you might find websites that are particularly helpful in answering questions, and I do ask you to tag at least 10 of them. So the way you can do that is, whether you're on mobile or desktop, is to copy and paste the URL, go to the add link, and of course add your link. Now, some tags you might want to include are types of government, government. They do give you some other tabs like democracy and things like that. Generally, the more tags you have, the better, because it lets you search back more. And I might tag this or comment this as a listing of types of government. All right. And so that is an example of how I can search one link. Now I would need to find 9 more pages that can help me out with the remainder of these questions. So you'll be able to find a number of different sources that can help you out with these. Remember, here in task 2, when we look for advantages and disadvantages, number 1 is where you'll be kind of listing the types of government. Number 2 is where you are looking at strengths and weaknesses of those. And here you're looking at more particular different kinds of government that you'll need to search out as well. So there's a number of searching strategies you can use, a number of ways you can tag things to help you out and find information, sort information. But the biggest thing I would stress to you is making sure you are tagging things and making sure you are taking notes, which will make the rest of your tests in this week much, much easier to complete. If you have any questions, please let me know in class or shoot me an email at rlober@madisonschools.k12.mi.us. And I do wish you the best of luck here in completing your first task 1. Have a good day. Bye-bye.